The coffee shop stranger who changed my day. So this happened about 2 months ago. I, 26F, live in a mid-sized city in the Midwest, and I work a pretty standard office job. Nothing glamorous, but it pays the bills. Anyway, on this particular Thursday, everything was going wrong. I woke up late, spilling coffee all over my crisp white blouse. Ugh, of course, right? Then, as if the universe was conspiring against me, I hit every single red light on the way to work. By the time I finally slumped into my desk chair, my boss was already breathing down my neck about some spreadsheet I'd forgotten to update. Seriously, could this day get any worse? By lunch, I was completely over it. My mood was in the gutter, and I needed something, anything, to turn this disaster of a day around. So I decided to treat myself to my favorite coffee shop downtown. It's this cozy little spot with mismatched chairs, warm lighting, and the best vanilla lattes in town. I figured maybe a caffeine boost in a quiet corner would help me reset. The line was long, but I didn't care. I stood there scrolling mindlessly on my phone, trying to tune out the world. That's when I felt someone behind me shift uncomfortably. I turned around and saw this older guy, probably in his late 60s, wearing a well-worn plaid shirt and a faded ball cap. He had one of those faces that just radiated calm, like he'd seen it all and wasn't fazed by much. He smiled politely, and I did that classic Midwestern thing where you smile back even if you're not in the mood to talk. You know the one, tight-lipped, polite, but screaming, "Please don't talk to me" on the inside. But then after a minute he said, "You seem like you're carrying the weight of the world today." Normally, I wouldn't entertain small talk with a stranger, but there was something about his tone, gentle, understanding, like he got it. I shrugged and said, "Yeah, it's just been one of those days." He nodded knowingly, his eyes crinkling at the corners. "Ah, I've had plenty of those. But you know what my dad used to say? Even the worst days have sunsets." I kind of laughed because, honestly, it sounded a little cheesy, but at the same time, it hit me in this weird, unexpected way. Like, whoa, it was such a simple thought, but it felt like a tiny crack of light breaking through my cloudy mood. "Thanks," I said, my voice softening. "I guess I needed to hear that." The line moved forward, and I ordered my usual vanilla latte. When I got to the register to pay, the barista smiled and said, "You're all set. The gentleman behind you covered it." I turned around, my eyes wide with surprise, but the man just waved it off like it was no big deal. "Pay it forward someday," he said with a wink. Before I could even stammer out a proper thank you, he grabbed his black coffee and walked out the door, disappearing into the bustling street. I sat by the window, clutching my free latte, and as I took that first sip, I felt this strange warmth spread through me. It wasn't just the coffee, it was the kindness. That small, unexpected act from a total stranger had completely flipped my mood. The weight I'd been carrying all morning, it didn't feel so heavy anymore. I never saw him again, but I still think about that encounter all the time. And yeah, I did pay it forward. About a week later, I bought coffee for a young mom who looked like she was having a rough morning. The way her face lit up, it reminded me of how I'd felt that day. It's funny, isn't it? How little moments like that stick with you. How a few words from a stranger or a simple act of kindness can completely change your day. Sometimes all it takes is one person to remind you that things aren't so bad after all. And honestly, the Thursday turned out to be one of the most memorable days I've had in a long time. Not because of the chaos, but because of the kindness that came out of nowhere and left me feeling a little more hopeful about the world.